Hello everybody, welcome to the Longlands Club and Boro Fan TV's end of the season review on a largely forgettable season. I'm James Hutchinson and join me for this show's Guesty.
Evening, James.
All right, mate.
Nice to see you again,
yeah,
mate.
and you. As well as looking back at a largely forgettable season, our favourite club, we'll discuss the reign of Tony Pulis, who we'd like to see as our next manager, what may be in store for Boro next season, and we're also going to chat about what probably been the highlight of the season in the failure of Leeds and Sunderland in the playoffs, mate.
I think that's the highlight of our season, to tell you the truth.
So we'll have a look at a few things tonight and a bit of a light-hearted review of the season that's just passed. Bringing it back to the Boro, Tony, the season finished with a 2-1 win at Rotherham, and that left us in 7th place in the table, 1 point short of the playoffs. Do you think Boro were unlucky not to make the playoffs this year? What do you reckon?
Criminal, James.
Yeah.
Absolutely criminal, that. For whatever went on in March, where we had a run of 4 games at home on the spin, to come away with that with absolutely nothing is absolutely criminal. And to finish a point outside the playoffs shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened either. Steve Gibson should have made a decision earlier, or what was ever going on in the changing rooms, because something must have been going on.
Yeah.
To lose what? To not win in 7 games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
6 on the bounce.
6 losses in a row,
and a draw.
Yeah.
Then to win 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
Form for me doesn't turn that quick.
Yeah.
Something must have been going on for, like you say, people have said to me it's because the crowds were on the backs. It was a toxic atmosphere. But in 2 of them games at home we were winning, James.
Yeah. I think you've just hit the nail on the head a little bit there about at home. I mean, if you look over the course of the season, not just from March onwards, out of 23 home games in the league, there was 13 of them we didn't win. Now, we're not talking about the Premier League here. We're talking about being in the Championship. And if you can't win 13 out of your 23 home games, there's a problem there somewhere, isn't there?
There were some bad draws. There were some bad defeats.
Yeah.
We were going away. We were in at Sheffield Wednesday, putting us top of the league. We need a home win. I can't remember offhand.
Rotherham.
The amount of times we needed a home win to sustain being at the top of the league, and we blew it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, things started to go wrong away from home as well. Yeah. But like you say, it's a long, hard all season, that Championship, James. And to finish a point outside, as a fan, it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
But as someone who went the majority of games, shouldn't have happened.
No.
Should not have happened. No way.
Yeah. I mean, last season or season before, we finished 5th and we lost in a playoff semi-final. At the end of the Rotherham game, Tony Pulis came out and said that finishing 7th this year was a better achievement than what we'd done the previous year. Do you agree with him on that?
That's strange. Football managers are strange, and sometimes you can see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
With the players that he lost. I don't know whether he's trying to emulate Mourinho saying 2nd place was a great finish for Man. Basically, it's a load of bullshit. And it can't be a greater achievement. It might have been for him personally, with the players that he had to his disposal. But to come out with a statement like that, it's just... It's reading somebody else's script.
Yeah. I mean, who do you put that down to? You talked there about the transfer policy and things like that. Because I think that did play a major part in us not finishing as high as we did last year. We lost Bamford, we lost Traore, we lost Gibson. And more so in the attacking sense, we never ever replaced Traore and Bamford. No. Who do you blame for that, Tony?
You can go back even further. We got rid of Johnson, attacking fullback. Or he was used as an attacking fullback in all the pre-season friendlies. As soon as Pulis came in, he got rid of the likes of Fabio, Cyrus Christie, all these forward-thinking full-backs, people who like to get forward, people who would have been a bit creative. They seem to disappear straight away from our team. I will give Pulis his due where, when he came in, he made a better player out of Traore.
Definitely, yeah.
He made a better player out of Bamford. Bamford starting scoring goals again. And also... George Friend, who had been massively out of form, massively out of favour, you know, injured. George came back in. He boosted George's confidence. And Ayala. Yeah. Ayala was having a rough time. And them 4 players, once Pulis came in, they were head and shoulders again.
Well, I think we said last year, at the end of the season last year, we were disappointed we didn't go up when we lost at Villa in the playoffs. But we thought, well, actually, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. Yeah. We'd scored goals. It'd been relatively entertaining. Yet this season that's just passed, I think you sort of know what you're going to get when Tony Pulis is your manager. You're not going to get free-flowing football, and you'll accept that to a point if you're getting results.
And doesn't that answer your last question, was the transfer policy? Was that a lot down to Pulis's work ethic?
what he wanted.
What he wanted. Was it down to Bevington? Was it down to Bowser? Was it down to Gibson? I think as a footballer, you know what I mean? Yeah. You've got your top-notch footballers who really want to work hard and be successful, but in the league below, are these players as committed? You know what I mean? And I think, oh God, Tony Pulis is going to have his leg in it up and down them mountains in Austria. Yeah. Him and Britt fell out in pre-season over the amount of training. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so
it's not been entertaining to watch, and you question whether some of those players enjoyed playing in that system of football. And I mean, 49 goals in 46 matches. It's not been great, and it's not going to get you out of the Championship, that type of football, is it?
No way.
And like
when you see, like you say, what we've just watched today, but even before that, the likes of Derby, the young kids, the Wilsons, the Mason Mounts, the Tom Lawrences. Yeah. When Derby came to the Riverside, they were a joy to watch. When Forest came to the Riverside, Joe Lolly, they all had entertaining, exciting midfielders. Yeah. They all had players who wanted to get forward, where we had 2 centre-halves as wing-backs. Yeah.
It's like being stodgy pudding football the whole season, hasn't it? You know, it's just been hard work. It's been a grind to get through, hasn't it?
Like you say, other teams running, gliding across the turf at the Riverside, and like our full-backs seem to be running in sand. Yeah. And even when we did get forward with a one up front option, there was never any options in the box. Yeah. You know.
No, I think you're right. And I mean, obviously then, after not making the playoffs, just over a week ago, the decision was made that Tony Pulis wasn't going to stay on. Do you think there was any sort of way he could have remained as Boro manager, Tony?
The only way he could have remained as Boro manager was if we'd have played today. He'd have got if he'd have got us to the playoff final, then obviously I think if we'd have won the playoffs, which is all hypothetical, I think he'd still be here. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like you say, the day he got sacked, it was such a relief because you've still got Boro fans singing his praises, what he brought to the club and what he's done for the club, but he has done absolutely nothing for me.
Do you think then that Steve Gibson will probably look back at Tony Pulis' reign differently to the fans?
Yeah, he'll look back on his reign similar to what Mowbray done. You know what I mean? He's came in. I can't believe Steve Gibson's been as naive and as gullible as what Tony Pulis has been saying, where this club was, you know, there was players coming in and basically taking the piss. Yeah, but I can't see Gibson. I can't see Gibson being that type of businessman, and he'd have paid these people what he thought they were worth. And I don't think you need the likes of Tony Pulis to come in and tell him how to run the club or how to balance the books. That's totally stunned me when, you know, when Pulis has come out with statements like that. Yeah,
I think it's a perception though in football, isn't it, that we seem to be a club that does pay very well for our players, and whether that's to attract them to this part of the country or whatever it is, but it's always been sort of spoken about that Middlesbrough do pay well to get players, and I think even by Championship level, when you look at some of the fees and alleged wages that players are getting, that we are one of the top payers in the league. And if you've got a few seasons out the Premier League, you can't keep doing that, can you? And some
well, like you say, we haven't been in the Premier League now. What was it? 2007, we got relegated. We've had one season
in the last 10 years. Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's we're a Championship club. Yeah, we're as much a Championship club as what Leeds are, who are now the oldest of the record, have been in it the longest. So.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk this year, and I think that comes with the territory of being out the Premier League about finances, not only Boroughs, but other clubs. And like you said, Tony Pulis said when he left, he was brought in to sort the club's finances out and get a grip on the football.
But was he told that, James?
Well, that's what he's called.
If you was a manager, would you come into a club like Middlesbrough? Like you say, Gary Monk had come in and splashed the cash in the summer, then 6 months down the line, you were coming in to put that right. Yeah,
it seems a strange, if you're going to go one way, I'm still surprised that Monk was sacked as early as he was. Yeah. If you've given him all that money and brought all those players in, and it was a total change in direction from what we had before with Karanka, and then 6 months later, when you were only a couple of points outside the playoffs, to get rid of him and bring in somebody who was, again, the exact opposite of him, to supposedly sort out the club's finances. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not so sure about that, but maybe it was a smoke screen just to deflect from what we were watching on the field of play.
But I always felt there was a good promotion team within that squad. I always felt, you know, there was too many square pegs in round holes for the start, but I always felt there was enough, you know, talent and skill in that squad, in a fest team, to get us out of that league. But
it's something we'll never know, isn't it?
Right.
And like you say, I think the thing for a lot of us, I think at the time, was you didn't quite know what you were going to expect from match to match with that team, in terms of the setup, the formation, how they were going to play. You just didn't know. And I think going from before that, like we said, we had Karanka, where everything was very structured and it was the same.
You knew where the ball was going. Yeah, you knew
and
absolutely
it was total
everything.
the opposite with Monk. And I don't know whether that threw the people in charge at the club, but we did take a total change of direction. Like we said about finances, even more so, not just talking about our own club. It seemed as though the second half of last season, people in the club were then focusing on other clubs' finances, and that's still rumbling on now.
Yeah, but like you said, I think that's a story for another day. But I honestly don't know what we are going to achieve by getting involved in other people's finances and dirty washing. You know what I mean?
Don't agree with that approach about? I know Derby County seem to be the ones that are getting the finger pointed at most.
Yeah, what like you say, what's happened with Birmingham City last season was they lost 9 points, but the EFL or these decision makers, they made sure Birmingham City was safe before the appeal and all that.
It was an easy decision to make in a way, wasn't it?
You know, so like. There was no. If Derby County had got promoted today, what would happen with this appeal? What would happen with Gibson taking them to court? Because
they'd get a slap on the wrist. They'd get a fine, which would be nothing in terms of what they were getting from being in the Premier League. Now, because they haven't gone up, I don't think any action will be taken against them. Because, in fairness, they could be in big trouble now with whether they get fined or any points are taken up or nothing like that. I think financially they're going to be struggling a bit next season.
Yeah,
so
like you say, they've took a big name manager on, whatever Frank went there on, and like you say. A lot of loanies, you know, so...
And I think at the end of the day, as a Boro fan, this is just my opinion, but I'm not sure if other people hold that as well. I think you want to get your own house in order and make sure our club's doing what we should be doing, rather than focusing what's going on at Derby, Aston Villa, Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not bothered about them.
No.
If they bend the rules, we'll let other people sort that out. And there was a meeting in Nottingham, wasn't there, a few months ago?
But he didn't even attend. He sent Bowser.
Yeah, well...
And, you know what I mean? And, like you say, he got bad press out of that.
Yeah.
So...
I think we just want to control what we can control at our club and focus on that.
Yeah.
So, Tony Pulis has gone. The buntings just about come down everywhere. The celebration
it was
just
a bit like
stopped.
Maggie Thatcher's funeral. That was the last time I was that happy.
The burning question now, mate, is who comes in next. In the last 10 days, the favourite in the betting, I think, has changed nearly every day. We've had Woodgate, Reisiger, Jukanovic, Houghton, Terry.
Batistuta.
There's been some real left-wing ones. Simon Grayson over the weekend came flying in. Paul Heckingbottom.
I was looking all the way down the list. You've got Arsene Wenger at 50-1. What 50-1? That's worth a quid. If he's 50-1,
he wants to come back into football. He said. So
you know what I mean?
Who would be your choice? Who do you think will get it, and who would be your choice, Tony?
I've been saying for a lot of years now that once Woodgate came back to the club. And then once he went onto the coaching staff, I've been saying for years, he's going to be Boro manager.
Yeah.
Now whether it's got to be announced this week, whether it's this week or after this next manager. Woodgate's at the club to be a manager. That's my personal opinion.
Right.
I've always thought that him and Downing. Shoot me down, call me all of things under the sun, what you want, but. Woodgate's a local lad. He knows what the club's about. He's given a lot of his years back to the club. You know what I mean? And I think he deserves a chance along with Downer, no matter what people think of him on the social side. All the others that's been mentioned, Jukanovic, we all wanted him a long time ago. We've been screaming for him as fans for a long time.
Yeah.
Can he afford him?
That's a big question there. I think that would say a lot about the club and whether they're really going to go for it in a way. If they went Jukanovic, one, I don't think he'd be coming here for buttons himself. He'd be getting paid well and he'd want to bring his own backroom staffing, which would cost. And then I'd also think he'd want money to spend in the transfer market, which do we have? And would Gibson be willing to go to that extent? I know you were championing Woodgate there. I'm of the other opinion, me. I would rather, if we're going to go down that route and give someone a first job, I would rather bring John Terry in than Jonathan Woodgate, because I think he could attract better players than what Jonathan Woodgate could to the club.
I'm all for first-time managers at our club. We've had our greatest seasons with managers that have come in, green as grass, fresh, brand new, never managed a team in their life. You go back to Jack Charlton, he was a first, got us that magnificent promotion. McLaren's won us our first trophy. He was a first-time manager. He'd only been number 2 with United. Karanka got us up. You know what I mean? And obviously the biggest one who put the club on the map, Brian Robson, never managed the club in his life. You know, he had a seedy past. He'd had a really good playing career, which
and I think that's where I see the parallels maybe with John Terry a little bit. For all you couldn't put him in terms of footballing ability alongside Brian Robson. He's had a career at a top club, won most of the major honours, if not all of them. And I just think Jonathan Woodgate, I know he's a Boro lad, but I don't think he's had the career in the game, not through much of his own fault in a way, because he suffered from injuries a lot. But I think John Terry is a name in football.
He's known around the world.
Jonathan Woodgate, yes, we know him because he's from round here. In Leeds, he's known for what he did there. But I don't think he would have the same pull that a John Terry would if you're going to go down that route. So,
like you say, John Terry, we had all the crack where the European Cup when he got changed into the full kit, and we've had the racism rows, we've had everything, absolutely everything. You know, lock up your wives. John Terry's in town, but if he can get the Boro out the Championship, if that's Gibson's choice, I have no problems with that.
I think what's got to happen is, and what you hope is, I think the last manager we appointed was a divisive character. As soon as he got the job, there was people straight away saying, no, don't want him. And I think we need someone that's been brought in now, and for whatever reason, if you like him or don't like him, I think it needs to be an appointment which gets the fans on board straight away, because more than ever now, I think the club need everybody behind them.
And on social media, Boro fans, we're all the same, we're all fickle. Every football supporter is fickle, no matter what club you support. And we've got now, what do we want him for? You'll only be booing in 6 months' time, wanting him sacked. In Real Madrid, they get the white handkerchiefs out. Every club, everywhere you go, you know what I mean? You win the league, you win the FA Cup, your manager's a hero. You know, 6 months down the line, Ranieri's a perfect example. Sacked. You know what I mean? So we need to get behind a manager, whether it's for 6 months, 12 months, to get us out this league, or for someone to have 2 or 3 seasons to build something like Karanka did. And move forward.
I think you're right, mate. And I think we've got to realise where we are now and who we are as well. We're a club, like you said, 1 season out of the last 10 in the top division. So we've got no God-given right to be in the Premier League, and it's not going to be easy. And I think we just got to say, right, well, whoever comes here, they've agreed to come here, we've got to get behind them and support them.
We've got to breed a fan now where the likes of yourself and me and yourself, where I started following the Boro, the early 70s, when we weren't a fashionable club. You know, we got in the first division for the first time in God knows how many years. We managed to stay there. Then we had a really poor time in the 80s. Then bang, Brian Robson come, bang, new stadium, bang, cup finals, bang, trophy.
So like these players, kids, all these things,
all these have happened in kids growing up, from the early 90s, and they do think we're a big club. You know what I mean? But we've got a magnificent stadium, we've got a magnificent chairman. We're not a big club, you know. We were a well-supported club. You know what I mean? You know, we've just got to realise where we are, and it's time maybe to get behind a manager for 2 or 3 years to see where it goes from there.
No, good point. And like you're saying about managers being in and out, I mean, you've got a manager there on Wednesday night at Chelsea, who most of the fans have been on his back all season. He could win a European trophy on Wednesday night.
And he's been asked to get sacked before.
That's, like you said, that's just the nature of football now, isn't it? You create your flavour of the month 1 minute, then a month later you get rid. And I think we need something a little bit more long term than that at the minute, don't we?
I think that's what, like you say, if he brings Terry in, I think that's going to be a long term project. Because, unless we find some money from somewhere and we've got money to spend. You know,
it'll be interesting to see what happens, mate. So before we move on, we'll have a quick fire questions on last season. Give out a few awards, what was hot and what was rot. So, player of the season, mate. Easy one to start off with, I think.
Yeah, easy one. Well, you could say easy because Darren Randolph, we were a point off the playoffs. How many points did he save us this season? Or how many points did he gain us this season?
He was immense last season.
But then you got on the out, Johnny Howson must have really worked hard during pre-season last season, because he was unbelievable, the amount of miles he put in. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's got to go to Randolph, because he was one player you knew on a Saturday.
You could depend on him.
Yeah,
totally, mate. Totally. He's a funny one. He's signing of the season. I'll give you the options what you've got to choose from: Aidan Flint, Saville, Besic, Hugill, Bart, McNair, or John Obi Mikel.
A lot of people think Mikel, you know what I mean, with what he came in, but I felt he went missing in them 7 games where we didn't win nothing.
Good shout, he started off like a house on fire, didn't he? And then he just
disappeared.
Out,
And you could, like you say, sat watching him, you could see in his game, because he came in from China. He most probably got through the first 3 or 4 games on adrenaline because he hadn't played for a while. I'm going to go with Saville because like you say, Pulis talks some shite, but I do believe where this George Saville, there is something there, and if he's played in the right position, he will become a Boro great.
Yeah, and like you say, we've gone through that list there of players, and you look at it and you think, God, we spent a fair bit of money for all people said we cut back on things. And I know we brought money in. We did spend
about 20 odd million.
Yeah, we've spent a fair bit of money last year, and like I think Saville's one, and I think McNair's another one who you can think they've been brought in for what they've done at a previous club in a certain position, and they don't get used that way when they come here.
McNair came in as left back the last few games. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
How good would he be? I think we've seen him in a couple of cup games in his natural position in the central and midfield. And like you say, he went to Sunderland and he scored goals from that position. We never ever seen him in a league game in that position, which was criminal. 8 million Saville, 5 million McNair, and 8 million Flint. So he had over 20 odd million to spend. And Flint, what a letdown.
Yeah, it's just not worked out with that lad. And I hope I mean, it's a funny one to say. It hasn't worked out with that. He's been part of a defence which has only conceded 41 goals in the season. Yeah. But I think we were also expecting more from him at the other end. And he scored in the first home game, and then after that, it was almost like a weekly thing about could he top the sitter he missed the week before. Yeah. And it was. I felt with the lad because I mean, no lack of effort, but I just think it just didn't work out for him last season, did it?
Hopefully he stays. Like you say, there's rumours that he's home sick and he didn't want to be at the club. But hopefully he stays, and you can build on that because at Bristol City he was absolutely immense. You know what I mean?
Good shout. Best performance of the season?
In what sense? From a player or
the team? Best team performance of the season?
The one I enjoyed the most was Sheffield Wednesday away. Right.
Okay. You won 2-1, didn't we?
Yeah. For some reason, it just saw the full game. It just. I feel if it goes quick, we've been brilliant. In the second half, we just totally overran, and Mo Besic was absolutely incredible that year. So that's a game which sticks out in my mind the most.
I've chose West Brom away because we scored 3 goals, got 3 goals in a match.
For the first time in a long time,
but they showed a lot of character that day. I mean, Pulis was copping a load of stick. At the time, West Brom weren't far apart in the league. We took the lead and we went 2-1 down, and they showed a bit of character. Brick came off the bench. Yeah, scored 2 great finishes. So that for me, in terms of who you were up against that day, because I'll be honest, when we went 2-1 down, I thought we were going to get blown away. Yeah. We came back and won 3-2. So that for me was the best performance of the season. On the flip side, you've got plenty of competition for this one. What was the worst game last season? I'll go first with this one. I've picked Forest away. I mean, the performance for me that day was, to be honest, I thought was shameful, apart from Randolph, because if he hadn't been in goal that day, we could have lost about 6-7-8-0. Yeah. And that was a game which was, towards the end of the season, we'd fought our way back up into a top 6 spot, everything to play for, and it was a shocking performance. So that was my worst one.
For the ones I had to endure on the red button because of work commitments, like you say, Forest away, Villa away, some of them players should never have put a red shirt on again. Yeah. And there's been so many. Rotherham 0-0 at home. Yeah.
Newport in the cup away. That was dreadful, wasn't it? Yeah.
Newport at home in the cup, coming out and setting up for interviews, talking about who we're going to get in the 4th round, and they go bag one. There's been too many to mention, James, and none sticks out because the games against Villa, Forest, and Derby at the Riverside. Forgive me, the other teams were a joy to watch.
We got schooled in all them games.
You come out and you think, oh, well, at least I've watched a decent game of football. I've watched a decent team, even though it wasn't my own team. There was that many. It was unbearable. Burton at home. Yes. The cup match. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just ground us into the ground. Yeah. Pulis, especially the home fan. Early part of the season, we were going away. We were coming home. We were absolutely fantastic. And the home games. Like you say, West game, you can go even back to the first game of the season, Millwall. Yeah. It was as if...
For 85 minutes, it was grim, wasn't it?
It was dreadful. Yeah. It was absolutely dreadful. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a multitude. You can name any game you want.
There's a few candidates for that one, yeah. Well, it promised to be a summer of lots of changes. Who would you be sad to see leave, and who or what would you like to come in terms of like players or type of players? Who would you be sad to see leave if they had to leave this summer?
You know, it'll be sad to see Jordan Ugle go. I know he brought absolutely nothing, but he's a Teesside lad. He's a number 9, and I've dreamt for years of having a Teesside number 9. Obviously, he's going to go. Besic is going to go. I think Flint's going to go. You know, there's players there now who's been there. Clayton, they've been there a long time. Ayala.
Yeah. What about arguably our best 2 players last year, Randolph and Wing? Do you think they'll still be here in August?
I can't see Randolph being with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Villa's gone up. There's teams going up, going to be looking at their staff. Teams in and around the bottom of the Premier League are going to be looking at Randolph because he is quality.
Yeah, he's played there before, hasn't he? He's an international goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's a Premier League footballer.
Yeah.
You know. And as for Cummins, coming and going, depends on what manager we bring in, James.
It does.
But we've got 3 players there: Wing, Tavernier, and Fletcher. And if we can start with them, you know, Fletcher's hit and miss at the moment, but I always felt he needed a run of games, and he started to prove that when he started scoring goals. They're young, they're enthusiastic. James, Wing isn't so young now. You know, he's what, 23, 24. He could be the boss of our midfield. You know, McNair, play McNair, centre mid. Play Saville in his natural position.
And I think you're right, with the right player alongside him, I think Fletcher would do a decent job up front. He needs just the right player alongside him, and the team to play.
Obviously, I haven't mentioned Britt. There's going to be interest in
he's a funny one because people decry him and have a go about him, but the last 2 seasons he's scored 15 and 16 goals. He's missed a half full of chances.
But he's got...
But if you get somebody in your team that can score that many goals, you've got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, he'd be a big miss, but whoever comes in, he might come in with a big broom and sweep clean, but we can't afford to lose Britt Assombalong there. You know, at least keep him till the end of his contract, or get your 15 million quid back and use it wisely.
I don't think you can afford to take a hit. Like you may do on maybe players like Braithwaite. I mean, where do you think
he stands now? You've got Braithwaite coming back in, you've got... I'm struggling to find his first name. Marvin Johnson coming back, you know what I mean? Are they going to be included? You know what I mean? I thought Johnson had a fantastic... He was one of the best players we had in pre-season, and I was really shocked we let him go. Braithwaite, well, what's going on? Is Braithwaite's just another Ramirez, another Ravanelli? You know what I mean?
I think it'd be difficult for him to come back. Bearing in mind what stuff's been coming out of Spain, and I think if the club can get any sort of money return, and obviously get his wages off the wage bill as well, I think you move on from him.
Depends what they come in for. Like you say, you've got they're pleading poverty in Spain already. You know what I mean? Complaining about Man City having too much money. You know, it depends what Gibson wants to recoup on their Braithwaite. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll be honest, I mean, I felt immensely proud of the Boro fans at the last game of the season at Rotherham for the reception they gave the players at the end of the game. They've been one of the best things about the club, and you'll know from all the away days you've gone during the season. So the away fans are immense, and I mean the Boro fans as a whole are. But the backing they've had this season, I mean, bearing in mind what's been served up some weeks.
Look at the clamour for the Rotherham game. For tickets. People just wanting to go away and you know, shout the Boro on, spend the last pennies on going watching the Boro.
Either that or the Tony Pulis dress ups and all, like, you know, the old dinosaur costumes and all that.
Absolutely, you know what I mean. Absolutely unreal. But Sky have absolutely knocked up this league as well with the
midweeks.
It's absolute joke, mate. But Boro fans, when they can get there, they'll get there, and they'll get there in the thousands, and it's absolutely class.
Good man. What do you think our aim should be for next season? Obviously, we don't know who the new manager is, and I think that'll probably sway you one way or the other. You think, well, are they really going to go for it next season or not? But what do you think realistically we should be aiming for next season?
Trying to think like a mad Boro fan.
There's plenty of them,
every time we appoint a manager, that's it, we're going up. And that's me personally. So if a John Terry comes in, I'd say 70% of Boro fans are going to think he'll get us up. You know, he's going to get this player, he's going to get that player, because we're thinking like that already. They'll all say he's you know, they don't want John Terry, we don't want this, I'll never go again. But if we get John Terry, I'd say the majority of us are thinking, like Gibson still wants promotion. If it's Woodgate, you know, I think with John Terry it'd be a 2 or 3 year project, but even with Woodgate, you know, it's going to be a slog.
Yeah.
Like you said, is he going to attract the players? But you know, he's a Boro lad. That's all.
I think the one thing you can say and you can take from this season that's just gone, you had 2 teams that went in the automatic positions in Norwich and Sheffield United that didn't spend a great deal of money.
Spent out.
And you can get out of this league doing that. Huddersfield did it 3 years ago or 2 years ago. You don't have to spend a fortune to get out of this league. It's not like the Premier League where more or less money does talk, and if the biggest budgets get you to the top. You don't have to. So there's always that hope there in the Championship. And I think with a bit more of a positive approach next season, I can still see us being at the very least in the top 10, if not pushing higher again. And I think that's one of the beauties of being in the Championship, isn't it?
Like you say, it depends how much of this squad stays, how much gets shipped out.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, you've still got to be looking top, like you say, top 10 for the finish. And hopefully, if we can get some funding, if we can get some players in, get a manager in to get us playing the way. Because we beat Sheffield United 3-0 at the other side. We had 3 chances and scored 3. They played us off the park.
Second half, they had some really good chances that night.
You know what I mean? And you could see that wasn't a 3-0, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way Norwich, Sheffield United, and now the way Villa, it's a different brand of football.
Yeah.
And
it's got to change, hasn't it, our approach it has.
What the disappointing thing was Gibson said we're going to smash this league when we got relegated. And then the following season, when we got beat off Villa, you know, get out there, Pulis. Just tell them some shite. And Pulis comes out and says, I know what it takes to get out of this league. You know what I mean? And it's just one big, massive PR exercise to pacify the Boro fans. You know what I mean? Just tell them that you know what it takes to get out of the league, son. And we all believe it because we're mad Boro fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Karanka said he'd get us up in 3 seasons, and he did.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I think that's a fair point. I mean, who do you see as being our main competitors next year, Tony? I mean, obviously we don't know. But who do you think is going to be up there or thereabouts? I know it's very early to say this, but...
Don't know about Derby. Derby, after today, you know, they've got a lot of loanees. West Brom, how many of their squad can they keep there?
Yeah, because they're going to have to cut the budget there,
They're going to have to cut the budget.
New manager in as well.
Leeds are going to be there or thereabouts, but whether Bielsa stays or not, you know... And who's coming down? You've got not Brighton, they've survived. Cardiff. You've got Cardiff.
Huddersfield.
You've got Cardiff, Warnock's going to stay, so they're going to be hard work.
Yeah.
Huddersfield, what? I could see Huddersfield being like a Swansea or maybe he's a Sunderland or something like that and go through the leagues, you know what I mean?
Could do. Fulham were the other one that came down.
Fulham, like you say, they're going to be no pushovers. But they've got a hell of a lot of players to get rid of.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I spent over 100 million in the transfer market last summer. I mean, what about the team that maybe just missed out? I've got a bit of an inkling for maybe Forest next year might be a decent team.
We say that every season.
Yeah,
though,
you do. You expect them. They're a big club.
But with Martin O'Neill and
Roy Keane there, and they've
come in late, got
some good young players there. If they can hold on to them again, that's the key, isn't it, in the Championship? If you can hold on to players.
Unbelievable
Great
footballer.
Player. Yeah.
So, like you say, if they get a pre-season now, Roy Keane and Martin O'Neill, they've got that many different managers in that league. You forget where they are. There is some really good quality managers in the Championship now.
But one thing I think you can guarantee is it's going to be a challenging season again next year. It's not going to be a league, I don't think, where anyone's going to stroll through it or anything like that. It's going to be a battle. And
there's no Newcastles or
nothing like that. No, it'll be a tough one. So talking to Newcastle and rivals and stuff like that, like we said, the top of the show, probably our highlight of the season's come in the playoffs, and we didn't even make it this year, which was probably a good thing. But the demise of Leeds and Sheffield United, Sunderland, which one gave you the most pleasure though, Tony?
Leeds. You could see it with Leeds. Towards the end of the season, obviously, they knew they'd made the playoffs, and, you know, but they were winning one, losing one, and then they lost at home to Wigan, and
they absolutely blew up in the last month, didn't they? Yeah.
And you think, the wheels are definitely coming off.
Yeah.
And then they were relying on Bamford, and I'm thinking to myself, if there was one player in this league I'd hate to rely on to score us goals to get us up,
it just doesn't seem to have worked out for him then. I mean, I noticed in the games at the end of the season when I was watching Leeds, it almost seemed like the fans had turned on him there as well, and they were having a go and a pop at him, and you've seen stuff on social media where they don't seem to have taken to him at all.
And Roof was going through a hard time, and he was in and he was fit, and then he's not scoring. But to go 1-0 up against Derby, You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
after
then,
winning 1-0 away, then...
Sorry, obviously they won 1-0 away, then going 1-0 up at home.
Yeah.
For some reason, you just felt it wasn't over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you say, as soon as that kid come on, Marriott, and it just turned on its head. Yeah. And they just didn't have no answers. And it's not nice to see. They're all football fans, but the Leeds fans. So it was so nice to see, you know. And that's not in a bad way. I've got some good friends who are Leeds fans.
Well, that's it. You're never far from a Leeds fan, are you?
Just to have this season, the way they've rammed it down our throats all season, they've had the League One again.
Yeah.
By the way, they're the only team for how many years to be top at Christmas and not go up?
Yeah, I think it's... I can't remember how many years it is, but it's a lot of years since the team haven't gone up.
They were so... They're like the Scousers and they're like the Geordies, and they think they've got this divine right to be a successful club. Yes, Leeds United, you are a big, massive club. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you're in the Championship. Yeah.
You haven't been in the top flight for 15 years now.
You're the record holders of a Championship position. Yeah. So, you know, if you come down a couple of notches and accept it, like us Boro fans do, you know, you might get a bit more respect and people will stop laughing at you. But
well, we've got the pleasure of a journey to Welland Road again next year, Tony.
Yeah.
Unlike the Stadium of Light, we won't be going there next year unless we get them in the cup. I mean, I tell you what, that's some achievement, that to have parachute payments, not only get relegated out the Championship, but then be unable to get out of League One with parachute payments. I mean, that's some achievement, that, isn't it?
It's absolutely shocking. You know what I mean? Grant led that. You know, when I seen that video, Grant stood on the turf at
Fratton Park, Portsmouth,
and. You know, you read the story and I got a lump in my throat for good on you, Grant, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like you say, you watched the game yesterday and you can't, Catamol is Catamol, and you could see he gave every inch of his body yesterday, Catamol, but there was shy.
Do you know what?
There was no...
They reminded me a little bit of watching us this season. There was just absolutely nothing going forward at all. No. It was one-paced, it was one-dimensional. I thought, these are dreadful, and I mean, and they're playing League One football. I didn't think Charlton were any great shakes either, to be honest.
It was the lad they brought on their main man who scored. Is it Maguire?
For Sunderland?
Yeah.
Well, McGeady came in. Yeah.
And he came on, and every time...
Just wanted to shoot from 40 yards, didn't he?
He just kept wanting to put his foot through the back of the ball. So.
But they were dreadful, and like I say, I mean, we've had a bit of a complaint and a whinge about our season tonight, but to not get promoted from League One, I mean, that's dreadful, that, isn't it?
Was that League One, James?
That was League One. It's, there's teams like Accrington Stanley in there, Burton Albion, I mean, Lincoln City they've got next year, Tranmere, some big days out there. Enjoy. You might win the Trade Trophy next season as well, Sunderland. So you might finally win at Wembley, but I mean, I tell you what.
Yeah, I put like you say, you commented, why are North East teams shit at Wembley?
I don't know what it is. We just get down to London, we get carried away, and we get to Trafalgar Square, and then that's it. It just all goes to pot, doesn't it?
Someone said to me, it's because the fountains are for wishing in, not shitting in.
Well, you know, I mean, some of the stuff we've seen there this weekend, I mean, there was plenty of that on the pitch yesterday, but I tell you what, I don't think it compared to what was left in the fountains there on Saturday night.
You see that wooden head diving?
Oh, yeah.
Well, comes out macho, but my head's not cut.
It only went up to his ankles, didn't it? He's gone in there. I think he's Greg Louganis or something.
You've got sawdust all over
it. Yeah, absolutely comical. But there you go. That's Sunderland for you, there you go. But so that's it. I mean, Tony, we're going to sign off for the summer now, mate. Before we do, though, just for you viewers out there, it'd be great if we could see as many of you as possible on Sunday. Boro Fan TV, you've got a game against Newcastle United Fan TV at Shildon's Sunningdale Leisure Centre. It's in aid of the Gary Parkinson Trust and the Bobby Robson Foundation. Game kicks off at 1 o'clock, so if you can get yourselves there, it'd be great to see you. Some of the lads are playing.
I've had the pleasure of playing against Boro Fan TV's All-Star 11 twice.
How good are they?
The first time was a joke, you know what I mean? They just, obviously this is walking football, fair play, these are young lads.
Yeah.
And all they want to do is rip past you. But they came and they played walking football. Then they wanted to play us again. So we went to 11-a-side on a 9-a-side pitch. Yeah. Because obviously we're over 50.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there is some good footballers amongst them, and I think AJ's pulled a few surprises there, because there's some really good lads in amongst that lot.
Right, so
you know what I mean?
It might be an away win on enemy territory on Sunday, eh?
You never know. You know what I mean? If they keep the ball away from me, they'll do all right.
Well, we can't promise that, but we'll see what happens there.
But like you say, if you can get down there, get down there.
It's for a good cause, isn't it? Yeah.
What I've read and heard of these Geordie lads, it's going to be a good crack, you know what I mean?
No, that's what it's all about. Well, fingers crossed for next season. Hopefully it'll be our year. Thanks for all your contributions, viewers, to the show over the season. Thanks for everything you make the show, and your support and encouragement is much appreciated. Thanks for being here again, Tony. Thanks for all the crack over the season.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
It's been hard work at times, the football on the field, but we've got through it. We've managed to
There's no worse than having a microphone in your hand, talking about a 0-0.
Yeah, that's it. We've tried to put a positive spin on things, but we've got through it, mate. So have a great summer, everybody. From us all here at Boro Fan TV and me, James Hutchinson. Good night and up the Boro.
Up the Boro.